Welcome to Fit Chicks Chat. My name is Amanda Quinn, and on today's podcast, I'm so excited because we have a friend of Fit Chicks Academy joining us. This is Marley Jaxx, and she is going to be talking all about social media, which is one of the biggest blocks that I know most of you have. So, Marley, welcome. I'm so happy to have you here.
Happy to be here. And I love that we get to talk about social media because that is my jam. And when I hear that people aren't utilizing it, I'm like, oh my gosh, you're leaving so much money on the table and opportunities. So let's go deep.
I know. And that's the funny thing. Offline, we were just chatting about how in our business, we have never really utilized social media properly or focused on it. And now it's like a big focus of ours. And I'm so excited because I know I'm going to learn a lot from this too today.
Yeah, awesome.
So why don't we start off though, Marley, by having you just share a little bit more about how you got into like why this is your jam, like why is this the thing that you love, and how you even got into becoming like a content creator and developing all of this.
It was totally by accident. I think a lot of entrepreneurs can relate to this about like the things that they were interested in or were their hobbies as a kid became their interests and their passions, maybe their career as an adult. And when I was a kid, I was obsessed with movies. I used to borrow my dad's video camera and make little like news reports, or I would vlog what I did that weekend before vlogging was actually a thing. But I was just like,
Yeah.
make a movie about what I was doing. And then growing up, I wanted to my dream growing up was I want to make movies, but was told that that's not realistic. And so I put that dream on the back burner for a while. And now I can say that I am making movies. I put out a documentary last year and I'm still working on some future ones. But anyway, I was in dental. I became a dental hygienist, was bored of cleaning teeth, started doing social media for the dental office on the side just because it was fun for me. I knew how. I was just making up stories about our hygienists or our office goldfish or something, and it started to get some traction. And then there I started to grow. I was like, I didn't know that like this is a valuable service for businesses. So I started building a business, and it's grown into a YouTube agency and the consultancy that I have today.
Amazing. I love too that you're like, I became a dental hygienist. I got bored of cleaning teeth, and then I just started doing this on the side because I feel like a lot of people, a lot of entrepreneurs at least fall into that. Like I know even for Laura and myself, we went to school, post-secondary school, got the corporate job. Like we did the thing that we thought we were supposed to do because we were like, oh, that's the route that everybody takes.
Mm-hmm.
And it was the same thing. I actually worked in the film industry. So I worked for the Toronto
Oh
International
my
Film
God.
Festival before starting our company. Yeah.
No
So,
way. I love when
and
I
it would
lived
be
in
like,
Toronto. When I
yeah.
lived in Toronto, I was always going to those film festivals. I loved it so much.
Yeah, well, so I worked for them and I was the manager of sponsorship and advertising, and it was like a dream job for so many, right? Like they'd be like, "Oh my God, I love this." And I was like, "I don't want to watch any movies." So I was like it's like the same. It's like you're like, "I'm
Yeah.
tired of cleaning teeth." And I was like, "I'm tired of watching movies and talking about movies and stuff." But it's like so many people fall into that path and then they kind of stay in that pathway. So I love that you just decided you were like, I'm just gonna do this on the side because that's kind of what we did too with our fitness was like we just started teaching fitness in a park and we were like, let's just see if anyone wants to come and hang out with us in a park and get
Yeah.
sweaty, right? And then it just kind of from there grew into what it is today. Now, what would you say to people though that okay, they're like, okay, that sounds cool, like okay, I'm gonna jump in, like Laura and myself, like we're like, okay, we're gonna jump in and we're gonna start using social media and we're gonna start like filming reels and doing all this stuff. How do people get over the fear? Like, I don't have the fear of being on camera, but a lot of people do. How do you help your clients or coach them through or anyone that's interested to just even like step in front of the camera and start creating content? Because I feel like that's the first step and the biggest step and the biggest block for a lot of people.
Yeah. The first thing I say to that is to acknowledge what the fear really is, because if we can be aware of it, we can obviously create strategies around it. A lot of
Mhm.
times people aren't afraid of the camera. They aren't afraid of, I mean, a physical camera is like a piece of metal and plastic, so we're not afraid of that if we want to be like really real about that.
Yeah.
But they're afraid of stepping out of their comfort zone. They're afraid of judgment. They're afraid of, being seen starting small. And
Mhm.
so we kind of speak to that and, have the strategies to overcome that of like, well, if you're really afraid of judgment, you're going to be judged either way. So why not be judged for doing something that you're actually passionate about and that is helping people? If you're afraid of starting small, I mean, look at anyone who you follow that's big. everyone has to start somewhere. And I think people just, they need to feel like they have a plan, they have a strategy, they know what they're doing, they have confidence in what they're doing. And so that's where we can handhold and support with like, here's scripts that have worked for in the past. Here's the platforms, the strategies that would work best based on your personality. That's another thing is we do something called content personality syncing, that if you're really not like, you don't want to be on camera, you don't have to be. There's lots of platforms that are text-based. Like Twitter is huge right now. LinkedIn could be a great strategy for you. Blogs. So if people are like, I really don't want to be on camera, great. We can create a strategy for you that is not camera. And so that, I think that helps with like, we can also step into it. It's not like you have to be this full blown, I'm posting 10 times a day tomorrow. We can start with like one post a day on a text-based platform, and then maybe we dabble with some video over time. We just kind of like grow into it.
Right. No, and I think that's such a good point. And it's such a, when you said that, people are going to judge you anyways, right? Like,
Right?
it really doesn't make a difference whether you're doing it or not. It's like, if you're not doing it, people are going to judge you. If you are doing it, people are going to judge you. So just do the thing that you love. And I think that that's such a powerful statement for people to hear, because I think that probably is it. Like you said, it's not the actual camera. It's not the actual physical thing. It's like a deep sort of fear of being seen or being judged.
Yeah.
And so with that said, it's like, how did you get past, I mean, did you ever have it? Because I know you were saying like you were vlogging and stuff when you were younger. Did you ever have those kinds of fears, especially when you were starting out with your agency and with your business? And because you grew your YouTube channel to over 100,000 followers in 9 months, like fast, like amazing and so cool.
Actually, it wasn't, it was fast when it spiked, but I actually grew my YouTube channel over 6, 7 years. And over the first, so it was like 20, anyway, when I started my YouTube channel, it grew slowly to 40,000 subscribers. And that was over like 6 years. But then the 40,000 to the 100,000, that's what happened in 9 months. So it's like, that's what I also want people to realize, that, I mean, just like anything in life, like growing a business, it's very rare to be an overnight success. That overnight success is often the 10 years in the making. And it was like the 6 years of the steady growth to 40,000 that then suddenly it's like, it feels like nothing's working. It feels like nothing's working. And then all of a sudden, all at once, it is. So like the 40 to 100 was fast, but the 0 to 40 was steady. And I think it's that perseverance of being like, I'm committed to the path and not just the outcome. Like a lot of people, if their goal is to get to 100,000 subscribers, it doesn't happen quickly for everyone. Like Mr. Beast, who's one of the biggest YouTubers out there, is over 300 million subscribers. Right. One of his stats is when he published his 100th video, so 100 videos, he only had 760 subscribers. And a lot of people, like, could you imagine 100 videos is a lot of effort? Most people would give up by then. Yeah. Like most people would give up. But he was like, I am, and you'll hear him say this in interviews all the time. He's like, I want to make the best videos possible. So he was committed to making the best videos possible. And of course, the background goal, like he wants to get to 100,000 subscribers. He's obviously way surpassed that. But I think it's also the mindset of, I'm committed to who I become in the process, and I'm going to keep working at this no matter what, even if it seems slow at times. Because like for me, I wanted to get to 100,000 subscribers, but it was like 6 years. And then all at once it arrived.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, that's so cool though. And so would you say then, like, really the message behind that, like to build your following is just be consistent, don't give up, right? Like keep going and keep showing up over and over again. And then eventually you'll just have something that kind of clicks, or you have like a system. I know a few people I've talked to about like social media or YouTube and things like that. That's what they say. It's like you're trying and testing and doing all these different things. And then eventually you'll just find this one thing that like flows with your audience. And then is that what happened with you? It was just like this sort of like a framework that kind of just really worked.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, it's not a matter of if it will happen. It's a matter of if you will keep at it until it does. Like that consistency, you finally get it. And it's in committing to improving too. Like you hear that thing of like, just get 1% better every day. And there's truth to that, because if you're just like, oh, I'm just going to keep doing the same old things, what's the definition of insanity? Like doing the same thing over and over again. And there was a phase where I was just doing the same strategy. And I was like, okay, this is the strategy that I hear is going to work. I'll just keep doing it until it works. But then I burnt myself out because I was like, I'm bored. I don't like the content that I'm creating. This isn't inspiring to me. And if you're not inspired, it's hard to be inspiring. So now I kind of have this condition with everything that I create is like, I want to create something that I love, that if I put out this content, I enjoyed making it, I would want to watch it. This is something that I would want to consume from someone else. So a lot of the times my content is the stuff that like I'm just naturally passionate about, because also you're typically your audience is typically your before picture, like
Right.
who you were a month ago, 3 years ago. So the things that I've experienced are the things that obviously I can speak with the most authority over and that I can have the most passion around.
Yeah. It's funny, when I first started teaching like fitness classes, before actually even teaching fitness classes, I took my yoga certification with David Robson. Shout out to David. And but he was like my favorite teacher because he said, you know, he was just funny and dynamic and everything else, but he said this one statement in my yoga training, which was my very first certification I've ever taken in my life, and he said, teach a class that you would attend, period. And it was
Mhm.
just, it was such a simple statement, but it stuck with me so hard. And it's so true. It's like what you said. It's like create the thing that you would want. And when you
Yeah.
do it from that lens, you attract the people that are looking for the same thing. And then it just becomes effortless because then it's like you're just showing up and you're doing the thing that you actually love. And then the people that are around you are actually loving it too. Because it's literally just like attract like in that sense.
Yes. Yeah. It's like
Yeah.
create for yourself and then share it instead of what do I have to create that other people are going to like, that's going to reflect well on me, that I'm going to get recognition. Instead, it's what like start with you and then share it. And then it becomes more about creation than like trying to prove something.
Right. No, I love that. And what would you say to the people that are creating content just to create content? Like,
Mm.
other than that piece, like, but you know, the one, like, I feel like I'm kind of in that realm sometimes where I'm like, we have to put some content out there. And I'm like, I don't even know if it's good content. We're just going to put it out so that we're consistent. So they're doing it like they're basing consistency over quality almost.
Mhm.
What would you say to a client that's doing that aspect?
I've been there.
Yeah.
I've done it. I've felt like content was a chore. I felt like it was a checklist, something that I had to accomplish. And the common denominator of all of that is like it didn't work the way that I would hope for it to. And think about anything that, and I'm sure you can think about times in your life where you were like so in flow, you loved what you were doing, and it was like the results were so simple, like if almost
Mhm.
effortless. And then the times where you're like, man, I keep like checking off this checklist, but nothing's working. Well, your passion isn't it. I think that like I just really believe in sales and marketing being a transfer of energy. And so if you have belief in your product, your offer, your content, your communication, I think that that's just going to seep through. So I do get that some people it's like, well, consistency just got to show up. And there might be times where it's like, you know, and I'm just going to post to to keep myself consistent. So I did it. Like one of the things that I like to think about is if you ever heard of Jerry Seinfeld talks about his writing routine with comedy. He's like, I never miss a day of writing. I will write every single day. And you know what? If you're like, I'm committed to creating a piece of content every single day, even on the days where maybe I'm not at 100%, maybe I only have 30% to give, but like that was my best for the day, make it your best, like do your best. I would rather that people are being consistent than falling off. And then they're like, oh, I haven't posted in years and now no one knows who I am and I wonder why my business isn't doing well.
Right.
So yeah, I mean, people will create content for the sake of content, but you also don't have to put so much pressure on yourself that it has to be perfect.
Right. No, I mean, that's such a good valid point. And what would you say would be some of the things too that people really struggle with when it comes to their content? Like, or what would be the purpose behind creating content? Because I know that there should be like a purpose behind it. I know I saw a video that you did actually that's like the three things that your content should be doing for you. So would you mind sharing that with our audience just so that they can kind of think about it from a different lens?
Yeah. Like, sorry, repeat the question, like the three things that the content should be doing for you. Let me
Yeah.
remember what video you're talking about because I
Yeah.
heard something. I mean, your content should obviously be reaching your audience and reaching your ideal audience. So we need to get clear on that we're not trying to reach everyone. We're trying to reach like very specific that person. Your content should be creating lead generation, like they should be opting into your email list so that you're further nurturing them. Because there's tons of people that I'll see online and I might like a video, but then I'll never see them again if they didn't give me a call to action for how I can stay in communication with them. And if that hook or the offer in the video didn't grab my attention, and then the content should be planting seeds for conversion or even converting people right from there, having that call to action that brings them into your funnel, whether it's a freebie or a low ticket or something to warm up that relationship for you. But I also like to say, like, if the content didn't create a lead, it's content, just marketing. And sure, there's time for content where it's like just about connection, but we want the content to actually be leading to like the 5 core functions of business: lead generation, lead nurture, lead conversion, fulfillment, retention, and upsell. Like content hits all parts of those.
Right. And so when you create content for your own channels now, do you have like a specific flow that you follow for yourself that you're just like, okay, I have to make sure every week that I have like
Mhm.
this kind of content or I have this many videos? Because everyone, there's so many like of these social media like plans that you can get online or whatever. And they are like, you have to do this, or if you want to break through this many followers, you have to do this. Do you have a specific plan that you even follow for yourself that you're just like, okay, as long as I do this, I know that I'm being consistent?
Yeah, typically, like my base is one long form YouTube video a week. And I think that YouTube is the best platform for you to be on for longevity. That if you want a business that lasts longer than 3 months, that you have YouTube content. Because with YouTube, my content from years ago is still generating leads for me today. So I like to say YouTube is where you can own attention instead of renting attention, which I mean, renting is if you have to run ads for things. Like if you stop putting money into those ads, or if, God forbid your ad account gets shut down, your business will break. But because I have all this online real estate called YouTube, this attention that I own, my business can still operate even if I'm not putting money into ads or, running campaigns all the time. So one long form YouTube video a week, and then one short form video, or not necessarily video, one short form or piece of content a day on the other platforms. So I've been doing short form reels on all the other platforms, but also actually lately I've been writing a lot more. So I like graphic and kind of thought provoking or sometimes heartfelt written post. So my goal for myself is a post a day and a long form video a week on YouTube.
I love that. And I love the analogy of YouTube being like, that you own it versus renting it because it's so
Yes.
true. It's
Yeah.
it's literally like this. It doesn't I mean, our YouTube channel became kind of like a graveyard because we just like were using it as a dumping ground and just like throwing stuff on there and we weren't really paying attention to it. So we're doing this whole relaunch. So for anyone listening, we're doing a relaunch on October 22nd. But it really is. It's like one of those places where you just like the amount of views that we have on some old content, and I'm just like, that's so weird. Or like we get new comments on stuff that we posted from like 3 years ago, and I'm like, that's so bizarre. But whereas when you spend so much time and energy on like stories and reels and they're gone in like 24 hours, right? Like
Mhm.
they're pretty much up and gone unless you keep them in your highlights, then you kind of lose them. So would you suggest then to somebody who's starting out to really focus on developing YouTube, and would you repurpose the content from your YouTube channel to bring it onto other platforms?
Yeah, you totally can. Repurposing is such an easy way of doing that. Like even if you have a 5 minute video, you probably can find some 30 to 60-second clips that can become short form content. And there's so many apps you can use to put the captions over it, which keeps people retained and watching longer. And I think that YouTube is an incredible platform for anyone to have, but it is something. I mean, look, I just told you that it took 6 years for me to get to 40,000, and then in 9 months went from 40 to 100,000. So it was really quick from there, but it took time and consistency. YouTube is a search engine, so people can find your content through searching for topics that, people are searching for all the time, which also means that they're problem aware. Like when you're on Instagram or Facebook, you're scrolling and it's whatever stops your scroll, like it grabs your attention. With YouTube, of course, it can be the thumbnails and the titles that grab your attention on your homepage or in that browse, like next to the video that you're watching. But also people can be searching for content. So some of my videos that have been like popping off for years, I made a video. I made a Canva tutorial, like Canva, the graphic design software, back in 2016 that I think I don't know if it's coming up on 2 million views, but it's like I made that video 2 years ago. And because that's something that people search for, how to use Canva, they find that video all the time. I also have a video about, I don't know, how to sell on Instagram, how to monetize your social media. And people are just looking for that all the time. They find that video, they watch it. And then often the best call to action to have is another video. So then they'll go to the next video and the next video and the next video. And then by the time they've binge watched a few of my videos, if they come into a lead magnet, get on my email list, book a sales call, they already feel like they know me because they've watched so many videos. And they say it takes like seven touch points for someone to go in their mind from acquaintance to friend. So we're like orchestrating that with the social media content online, which is why I'm like, for people that aren't doing social media content, you're leaving so much opportunity on the table, because we have the opportunity now that people are in the grocery store on their phones, or they're listening to podcasts while they're driving. Like that time that they spend consuming your content changes their relationship with you.
Mhm. No, it totally does. And it allows for people just to see like who you actually are. Now, what do you say for people who are build social content, but like someone like me who is, I'm very private and I keep
Mhm.
my personal life personal and I don't like to share that information because I know that oftentimes people feel it's pressure. I know for me, I'm okay with it, but oftentimes people feel this pressure of being like, oh, well, if I'm gonna post on social, then I have to post everything. Do you believe that to be a true statement?
No, you don't have to post everything. And I think it is really important for people to see the real side of you, but that doesn't mean that you have to be, showing what you guys are eating for dinner or where you're picking up your kids from school. I would actually recommend don't do that. Like we don't show our kids on social media at all. And sometimes if I mention my kids, there's some people that are following me that are like, "You have kids?" I'm like, "Yeah, well, see, I don't
Yeah.
talk about that. I don't share that side on social media because I, want to protect them, and that's just one of my boundaries. It's not like I talk about them all the time or show pictures, and some people do, and that's totally fine. That's just a personal choice for us. Like, I love following people that they share stories about their kids or even show what they're doing with their kids, and like that works for them, and that also makes me relate to them. There's also people that they are just strictly business, but they can also be strictly business while still showing their personality. They show their sense of humor. Maybe they tell a story about something that they overheard at the grocery store the other day and they give their opinion on it, but they don't necessarily need to share, like, here's my hobbies, here's how I spend Christmas, here's where I'm going on vacation, here's why I chose my spouse. Like, you don't have to share those things, but it is good to have a balance of both what your business is, who you are, and why you care about your clients because of your personal story that made you create the business that you have today.
Mm. No, that makes total sense. I love that explanation because I think again, it's a block for a lot of people because they feel like, oh, well, I have to do this if I want it to be successful, or I have to follow these rules. But there's really no rules. It's really just about being consistent, showing up and being yourself and being authentic, really. And just
Yeah.
choosing. My rule is always, I'm only going to share things that I feel comfortable if someone asks me a question about it, that I would be able to continue the conversation. That's actually my own personal rule that I set for myself whenever I'm talking about anything. So I'm like, whether it's on the podcast or on YouTube or on social or anything or writing, it's like that's my boundary. It's like if I don't want to talk about it after this, then I don't make the statement at all.
Yeah. That's a great boundary to have. Absolutely.
Now, what would you say to someone, last question, what would you say to someone who is starting out and you're just like, okay, this is like, if I had to give you one piece of advice, just don't do this on social media. Like, what's the one, like, just please do not at all do this.
Okay. There's something that I like to say in my content. Which is stop the pop or stop popping in. And what I mean by that is, do you ever see those posts that start with like, "Hey guys, just popping in real quick. I just wanted to come on here."
Yeah.
We see it all the time. So it's also really easy for us to pick up on that habit and just do it because we see other people doing it. But there's this subconscious text that comes through with that's saying like, "Hey, I'm sorry for taking up space, and don't worry, I won't take up too much of your time, but if you would just excuse me, I'd like to make a little announcement that I hope you care about." So it comes off just really apologetic in the content, where I want to follow people who are passionate, who care about their message, that they're not apologetic for taking up space on the timeline. Like, be you louder. So please remove any just popping in, just wanted to come on here. It comes off very passive. And also considering that, I mean, we have shorter attention spans than ever, and we need to grab someone's attention in 3 seconds. So you really have to start right with that hook. No small talk. Don't talk about the weather. Don't say what day of the week it is. Sometimes people will start with that. "Hey guys, happy Monday. Today I'm in my office, got my coffee here. Just wanted to pop on because I wanted to talk to you today about," they're already gone.
Yeah.
So you got to hook them.
View is gone.
Yep, hook them and do not be apologetic about it.
Love that. I think that's probably the best advice. I'm going to take that advice. I'm going to be like, okay,
Good.
no more,
Yeah.
no more
And you'll
popping.
see it now. You'll see when people do it, and it's there's nothing wrong. I say it because I used to do it too, and I recognized it in myself that it also was this subtle mindset shift of I need to show up powerfully for people, and I really believe in my message and what I'm sharing with people. And so I have to make sure that that comes out in my body language and kind of the subtext to what I'm saying.
Yeah. As you were saying that, I'm like going through my brain of all these reels. I'm like, did I say that in all of these reels that I just
Ah,
filmed this last week? Literally just going through the entire list in my brain. Marley, this is amazing. Thank you so much for joining us today. And
having me.
honestly, like I feel like I've learned so much. I hope all of our listeners have learned a ton. As you and I talked about, you are actually also going to be doing a special training for everybody that's in our holistic nutrition membership that's going to be around helping coaches and holistic nutrition, like nutrition coaches, develop a social media strategy. So if anyone listening, if you're not part of the membership, email us info@fitchix.ca so that we can get you into that membership so you don't miss this special training from Marley. And of course, Marley, if anyone is interested in learning more about what you do so within your business as your, oh my gosh, my brain just stopped for a second. I'm like, if anyone is interested in learning more about what you do and reaching out to you, how can they get in touch with you? What's the best way for them to reach out if they're like, hey, I need some help?
Yeah, reach out on Instagram, Marley Jaxx. I respond to all my DMs myself. You'll never get an assistant or anyone there. Marley Jaxx. You can also check out my YouTube channel, Marley Jaxx. And we also have it's really cool for anyone that's like, what do I do? Can you just tell me day by day? We have an ebook called the Profit with Video Game Plan, where it's like your action items every day for 31 days. You can go to profitwithvideo.com.
Awesome. And for everyone listening, that all of those links will be in the show notes, so check them out there as well. All right, Marley, thank you so, so much for joining us today, for everything you shared. It's like total gold. And for everybody listening, thank you. Check out the show notes, connect with Marley, and we will see you again next week for Fit Chicks Chat. Bye, everyone.